Okay, now I will demonstrate the manual cleaning process for these instruments. First, the instruments are placed in the wash sink containing enzymatic detergent solution, and that's here. While submerged underwater, I will begin to clean each instrument individually. For hinged instruments such as clamps and scissors, I will keep the instruments in an open position um, so that surfaces can be reached during cleaning. I will be using a soft brush. I will scrub the instruments carefully to remove visible soil and debris, and I will pay special attention to the given areas such as the hinges, the box locks, the serrations, the joints, the lumens, and any other internal channels. For instruments with narrow openings or channels, a pipe cleaner or lumen brush may be used just to make sure that those internal areas are properly cleaned. Let's see. Keeping the instruments submerged during scrubbing helps to prevent the spread of contaminants into the air. After scrubbing is complete, the instrument will be moved to the second sink here. Um, for the intermediate rinse, where the detergent residue and the loosened debris are rinsed away. And then the final rinse here is where the treated water will remove any remaining residue or any mineral deposits or anything that will take away from the longevity of the instrument that is being cleaned. So this will be the third and final rinse just to make sure everything is completely clear before it goes on to be further sterilized. So let's see. So this is some pickup forceps with teeth that has some barbecue sauce and some wet bread on there, some bioburden. I'm gonna fully submerge it here into this water. It's in there. I'm gonna take this brush, drop that in there, and scrub that off. And while I'm scrubbing, it's underwater, completely underwater, so that nothing comes up and splashes me in my face. This brush here with this, I'm holding it completely under the soapy enzymatic water, and I'm scrubbing. Okay, put the Adson teeth, the Adson with teeth into the second sink here. Show you guys what's happening currently. So the first sink here is where I had the Adsons, and I held it under the water completely with the sponge there, and I made sure that all of the bioburden was off before I put it into the second sink, which is the intermediate sink, where it gets rinsed off. So I have a couple more instruments. I have 3 more. This is a clamp. This is the Kelly clamp. Again, I'm gonna submerge it into the first sink for the first rinse. I'm gonna hold it under the water with the brush, with the sponge here, and I'm gonna clean off all of the visible bioburden just to make sure everything is off before I pass it on to the intermediate rinse, which is the second sink. So holding it under the water just to make sure nothing splashes me in the face. I have on my face shield and my glasses just in case something splashes back. I just want to make sure my skin and my eyes and my nose and my mouth are protected from any aerosolization or any bioburden that could go airborne. And once any visible bioburden is completely scrubbed off, I will pass it on to the intermediate sink so it can be rinsed before it goes into the final bath down there at the end, which is the final step before it goes off to be further sterilized. So the next Instrument I have here are the Metz and Balm scissors with visible bioburden on it. So first sink, I'm gonna hold it under the water just to make sure nothing splashes me in the face. Removing any visible bioburden, anything that I can see before I pass it down the line here to the intermediate sink basin to be rinsed, to rinse off all of this enzymatic solution before it goes further down the assembly line to be further sterilized. Holding it under the water with the sponge here. Making sure it is in the open position, making sure I get the ring handles, making sure I get any serrations, any blades, any openings, make sure I get all of that before I pass it down the line. So any instruments should be cleaned thoroughly and should remain in the open position just to make sure every nook and cranny gets cleaned. Okay, the final instrument here out of the four is the Yonkers suction tip, and it has visible bioburden. It has some homemade blood, which is just barbecue sauce. We also use ketchup and, just barbecue sauce, ketchup, and soaked bread to give off the appearance of skin. So we're just holding it underwater and just removing any visible bioburden in the first sink before it gets passed down the assembly line, going to the intermediate, and then the final bath, which will remove any final enzymatic solution that may be on it, any bioburden. It'll show up in that final rinse. But the goal is to get it off, see it in the first two rinses, because after the third rinse, it's long gone. Anything after that, any error past that will come back to you, and we don't want that. So this Yonkers suction tip has tips on it that you can unscrew. I have to unscrew those and get down in there with the pipe cleaner here. I'll demonstrate that here momentarily. First sink, removing any visible bioburden. Okay, moving on to the second rinse here. Making sure I got all of my tips for this Yonkers suction tip. There were two pieces that you can unscrew. Have to make sure those are unscrewed and cleaned properly. So moving on to the second sink, which is the intermediate sink. Let me wipe my hands so I can pick up my device. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. Moving on to the second sink, which is the intermediate sink. This is where I will take the hose and just spray the instruments that I just scrubbed underwater and just remove any remaining enzymatic detergent that didn't make its way off from the first rinse. All instruments should remain in an open position just to make sure any nook and cranny gets cleaned. These are the adds and pickups with teeth. Taking the hose here, making sure they get rinsed off, making sure all that enzymatic cleaner gets rinsed off before they go into the final bath here. For any instruments with the narrow openings or channel, a pipe cleaner or a lumen brush may be used to make sure that those internal areas are properly cleaned. I'm about to pick up the Yonker suction tip here and use the pipe cleaner to get down into those nooks and crannies just to make sure. These are the Kelly Cryo clamp. Making sure everything is clean and rinsed off in the second sink here before it goes into the third. Okay. This is the Yonker suction with the tips removed. I'll be taking this bad boy here and putting this thing in here and just cleaning those tough to reach areas. Making sure it gets down in there thoroughly and making sure all bioburden is out. On the Yonker suction tip, there are two pieces, one at the very top that you can unscrew and one at the very bottom. Taking the pipe cleaner and getting in there and making sure that all bioburden is out. And anything or any bioburden that is on there will show on the pipe cleaner. So it's very important to make sure that there isn't any remaining residue left on it before it goes to that third sink. This is one of the tips from the Yonker suction tip. I'm gonna take the pipe cleaner and get in there. That'll pull out any remaining bioburden that's left on it before going to the third sink. These are the two tips. Okay, after the manual cleaning process is complete, the instruments continue through the reprocessing process. The next step typically includes inspection. Instruments are examined for cleanliness, damage, and proper function. Assembly and packaging. Instruments are arranged into sets and prepared for sterilization. Sterilization preparation. Instruments are packaged using appropriate and approved wrapping or containers. It goes on to be sterilized. Again, instruments are sterilized using methods such as steam sterilization, autoclaving, etc. Storage and distribution. When sterilized, instruments are stored in clean environments until the OR sends out a list of things for us to prepare, and we prepare carts. So the things will be sitting on a sterilized shelf or a sterilized area, just waiting to be used. Each step in this process is important to ensure that surgical instruments are safe, sterile, and ready for use in the medical procedures. So they need to be sterilized and ready to go at any point. So in conclusion, proper manual decontamination of surgical instruments is a vital part of sterile processing and the sterile processing workflow. By following PPE guidelines and the 3-sink cleaning system, the manufacturing IFUs and ensuring and making sure we use proper brushing techniques. Sterile processing technicians help ensure proper patient safety and effectiveness and stand between infection and keep infection prevention afloat. So thank you for watching my decontamination demonstration video for the manual instrument portion, and I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.